Here we are on beautiful Jones Street.
You saw Ted Jones.
Sponsored by Stock L Dreamery, the most delicious vegan cheese on the market. We got original smoked paprika and chili, garlic and herbs, and I'll tell you what, guys, this is the best vegan cheese you'll have. Don't forget the cheddar melt. Enjoy the episode. What's up, guys? Happy Monday. This is the Neat Burger TEDJONESWORLD eating competition / comedy show review hour. I don't know how long this episode is going to be. You guys see right now. You guys know before I do how long this episode is going to be. I imagine it won't be an hour. Okay. Yesterday, we had the 1 year, or I should say the first anniversary party of Neat Burger, which entailed an eating competition and comedy show. And guys, this was one of the more last minute stressful events. Sorry, my freaking, the zipper always goes down. And like, I don't even use the zipper to, use the bathroom. Really? I don't know. Do guys use the zipper? Okay, this is a side note. I don't know how I just got into that. But anyway, it was one of the more stressful events. It wasn't anyone's fault in particular, but we did have a number of signups for the event beforehand. And at the eating competition, we had 8 applicants, correct? Like we only were going to have 8 people in the contest. And then at the last moment, like a few people bailed. So I tell you, I'm on the street barking. I'm like, all right, you want to do an eating competition? You want to do an eating competition? Luckily, we had people at the event who were down, who were ready to go. And the last entry, the guy who was an alternate actually won. So shout out my boy, Junie. He won the competition. For those of you who don't know, this is what the food entailed. He ate almost all of it in 10 minutes. So he won a $50 gift card. And this was like one of the craziest events ever. I don't even know. Maybe that guy is feeling solid today. But I imagine if you eat all that food in like a vegan way, it probably tastes a lot better and you don't feel like you need to be rolled home. But I don't know. That looked like a lot of food. Afterwards, we had a comedy show. But I think the reason why this particular event was stressful was because the last minuteness of some of these vegans showing up late. And you know what I've noticed? Vegans show up late. I don't know what it is. Yeah, granted, we most likely think we're better than everyone else because we're vegan. But like, dude, vegans, we got to show up on time more, okay? We're showing up on time for other good causes. We got to show up on time for this event. But this particular weekend, it was just a busy weekend, and I feel sore, okay? I did legs yesterday. As you guys know, I've been doing the Mike Metzger method. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, Mike Metzger was a bodybuilder for like 10 years. He was around when Arnold was around. They were rivals. And he was only working out like 2 to 3 hours a week as opposed to Arnold working out like 20 hours a week. So he's working out 10 times less than Arnold, but he still had the same type of body and was able to get the same amount of gain. So basically it's when you go into the gym and you just give it your all, legit all for 20, 25 minutes. You do one set of a workout, but you do like 5 different exercises. So yesterday I did legs and my legs are shot. I did freaking squats, did some leg curls this way, did some leg extensions, did some calves, and I'm feeling sore. And I'd say like the main part of doing this type of workout is like, you pretty much got to be sore each particular time. Like I'm working out once every 3 to 4 days, something like that. And I'm noticing the gains being solid. So if you're a guy and you're sick of going to the gym, legit, like I was for 3 years, almost every single day, like 12 days in a row, in the gym, hammering workouts for 50 minutes, and then I go on a 45-minute run. It takes up a lot of time, and not even complaining as a man and being like, oh, like I don't have time to do that. And people are like, oh, well, wake up earlier. I just think like from a physical standpoint, if you want to see potentially some more gains in your figure, maybe try it out. Just go to the gym, 20 minutes, give it your all, and then come back like 3 days later. Give your body some time to rest and recover. And people say like, listen to some of the red pill guys online. They're like, you don't need any time to recover. Don't be soft. I think there's something to be said for having a slight recovery. It obviously does help your mental to work out every single day, but sometimes, you got to take some time off. But this past weekend, I had 5 spots, and then hosting that event, doing a spot at that particular event was tough. And doing comedy outside of a comedy realm is definitely more difficult. I imagine for the comedians that do arenas and stadiums, it's just like a different beast. You tell a joke and then 5 to 10 seconds later, it finally hits the back of the audience. Not saying that Neatburger is a stadium or an arena, but it definitely was the type of event where it wasn't a comedy crowd. So it was an outdoor show. I'll pop up some pictures right here, pop up some footage, but like the backyard is probably like 100 feet long by, I'd say probably like 30 or 40 feet wide. So it's just like you're telling jokes into the abyss. But luckily we had great comics. I myself did like 10-minute set. I myself did a 10-minute set. We had the other comics do around 10 minutes as well. But it was a great event. You know, great event for a great cause. And I look forward to doing events like that in the future. I think like I've become a vegan host just because the brand, the TEDJONESWORLD brand is pretty unique in that we focus on tennis, comedy, and veganism. Like those are 3 pretty random things that I don't know would go together in any other realm. You know what I mean? It's weird. I met my boy finally. I've seen this guy so many times. Tiger Hood. If you guys have ever seen this guy, he's outside of the Comedy Cellar like almost every single night, just firing golf balls. And I had an opportunity to hit some golf balls with him. I got one of these gloves. He gave me one of these gloves. We were smacking balls outside of Neatburger on Lafayette, outside of Jack's wife, Frida. And you know what? My swing's looking pretty solid. And he said so himself. He's like, damn, man, it looks like you've been playing golf your whole life. I was like, all right, bro. I'm a tennis player, but I'll take that. And I think tennis and golf is somewhat similar. You know, like the way you move your hips and stuff and the way you connect your upper body to your lower body. But that's all sports, connecting your upper body to your lower body if you are an athlete or you know what I'm talking about. There's so many different ways to be active these days, but can you guys believe that I still haven't played pickleball? I'm starting to feel bad that I've never played pickleball. Obviously, being a tennis player, you know, I look at pickleball and I'm like, oh, I'm shunning pickleball because it's taken away from the game of tennis. But I feel like I got to play. And also being in New York City, there's so many different courts, so many different places to play. You know, it's just like basically every park has turned into a pickleball club. But I would start to be upset if they take the limited amount of tennis courts in New York City and make them pickleball courts, because that ain't cool. But can you imagine also, like, I don't know, maybe you guys live close to a pickleball court. That thing is waking you up at 7 a.m. It's like there's a development that's being built a block and a half away. And no joke, every morning now at 8 a.m., except for Sundays, because I guess they're not allowed to work on Sundays, my room starts shaking a little bit. Like even with the eye mask on, I still hear stuff. So sometimes I'll put on headphones. I've got headphones and an eye mask. I'm like, what am I at a retreat therapy? It's like a therapeutic room, but it's not, because, you know, it's pretty freaking loud. That's the thing about living in New York City. I mean, living here my whole life, I'm used to it, but I can imagine if you're a transplant, you just come here, you're like, it's so loud. I get it. And for the people that want to move to the suburbs and have a lawn for their kids, and you want your kids to have the whole experience where you know your neighbors and such, and you don't just want to like open the door and like not know your neighbors. You know, like in college, you do know your neighbors, right? Like, oh my gosh, I was I was dating the girl who lived across the hall from me in college, which was insane. That was crazy. Oh my gosh. Yeah, sophomore year of college. It was Ryan, Walker, and me. We lived in a 150 square foot room with bunk bed types and our desk under our bunk bed. And yeah, I was dating the girl across the hall from me, man. I visited her a couple times in New Jersey. She's a nice kid, a teacher. But like, yeah, that's insane. Like the only time you really know your neighbors is like if you're in college or you live in a neighborhood, a small type of neighborhood. Like in New York City, it's weird to know your neighbors. You don't need to know what's going on in your neighbor's apartment, especially since my neighbors make a lot of noise when they're doing stuff. Okay? I'm not just talking about cleaning the apartment. You know what I mean when I'm saying they're doing stuff over there sometimes. Okay? And I can hear it. I got to flip on my fan. By the way, shout out to Dyson. This fan has lasted like 6 years, 8 hours almost every single night, and it hasn't broken. Do I have wood in here? Freaking, I'll knock on drywall. Hopefully that fan doesn't break. But Dyson making an incredible product. And I had no idea Dyson makes like hair products. Dyson makes the vacuum. But I imagine, you know, this guy Dyson is a pretty successful guy. He just found like the unlimited battery where you can just continuously run it for hours on end and it never dies. Yeah, and shout out to the light bulb. My boy Thomas Edison, killing it. Love the light bulb. Life must have been crazy before the light bulb. And the amount of times that Thomas Edison also like went through the rendering of a light bulb, good for him. The guy never gave up. There's something to be said about that. He was like, nah, we're going to have light. And people like had no idea what this guy was even talking about. People are like, why would we just not use candles? Candles are fine. Don't worry about it, dude. He was like, nah, guys, trust me. You're going to like this light thing. People must have thought he was nuts for years. I mean, I don't want to compare myself to Thomas Edison, but people are probably like, Ted, you have all these episodes of the podcast. What's going on? Yeah, I don't know. I enjoy talking to you guys, sitting here in my apartment and also doing these solo episodes. Sometimes it's fun because I let you guys know what happened this past weekend. But no joke, even sitting down right now, I'm pretty sore. You know how you just get sore like that sometimes and your butt is just like, bro, I can't sit right now. We got to stand up. That's kind of where I feel I am right now. But insanely busy weekend and a fun weekend. You know, I can't complain, but I think doing the midnight show last night was a stretch. Like I got to the comedy club at around like 9:30 or 10 p.m. I was writing for a little bit. And then by the time 11 p.m., I just crashed. It was crazy running around managing this event. And it was also really sunny yesterday. If you were in New York City, it was a beautiful day, getting those sun rays. And I do feel tan. And if you guys don't think so, you better rethink it, okay? Because if you tell a white guy he doesn't look tan and he thinks he looks tan, he's going to have a meltdown. But it was just it was a lot. It was a lot to do, but it was fun. Had my buddy Julio filming content for Neat Burger as well. So it was good to do an event with your boy. That's also something that's great. You know, if you guys like start a business with one of your friends, obviously it could go terribly wrong. But I think that there are some aspects where if you have part of the company that your friend is working on and then another part that you're working on and like you guys merge together to do a powerful part of the business, I think that's probably the best way to do it. I mean, I don't have a business with my friends, so I don't know, but I think it could go wrong if you have too many cooks in the kitchen. That's a great phrase where you'll have two people that maybe are great at the same thing and then they disagree on ideas, and then, you know, 5 to 10 years later, once the company becomes successful, they don't know how to organize priorities correctly. You know what I mean? You got to have different people doing things that the other one is weak at. And that's also like in a relationship too. Okay. Currently single, but I can imagine, you know, that's why sometimes opposites attract. You fill the void from what other people are not good at, you know? But these days with all these distractions, man, it's going to be harder and harder for people to stay together for the rest of their lives. There's some stat like, or there is a stat like 58% of people get divorced. And then how many people get to stay together because of kids? More than 10%, right? You got to figure at least 15 to 20% of people stay together because of the children. And then by the time the children are out of the house, bro, that divorce rate's got to be up at, if you include staying together for the kids or not being happy in marriage, what is it got to be? 70, 75%? That's not chill. I don't want to shit on marriage. You know, I have a lot of friends in my life that are getting married and stuff. But luckily for me, or I don't want to say luckily, or I guess I should say luckily for me, I haven't had to travel to that many weddings that I don't want to go to. And I know that being at my age, being 32 and a half, there are people who go to these destination weddings. And then 3 to 5 years later, these people get divorced. Okay? I just spent $2,500 on flights and hotel and you're getting divorced? All right, I'm writing in the contract before I book my ticket to freaking Milan. Actually, that would be the dope location. Before I book my ticket to all these places could potentially be cool, but if your friend or somebody that you're going to a wedding for across the world is going to get divorced in 3 to 5 years, you should be getting like half your money back. And you're also going to spend money on the present. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. And back in the day, like when our parents and grandparents were getting married, they weren't doing that. They were having the wedding at the local church or synagogue in New Jersey, in Rumsey, New Jersey, or something. I don't even know if that's a city, but somewhere local. This whole way of getting married and like this Instagram culture, you got to get the nice dress. You got to get all the groomsmen wearing the suits and all this jazz. And if I ever get married, I wouldn't want to have it as like a big production and go all the way over there and make all my people spend all this money. Like if that's the case, I'm going to be flying everybody there. I'm going to be paying for the hotels, paying for the wedding. Nobody needs to spend a dime. But I don't want this to bite me in the butt, like me saying this right now. And then 5 years from now, I'm like, yeah, guys, come to Japan. You pay for the flight. You pay for the hotel. And also there's going to be a $500 dinner fee per night. But it's going to be great. I'm going to be married the rest of my life. And then, you get divorced, something like that. So hopefully me saying this doesn't come back to bite me in the butt. But I imagine it won't. Just because the way I would see partnership forever, I mean, you got to be sure that it's going to be forever. It's going to be a lot harder these days. The world's a changing every year. More vegan restaurants in the city, which you love to see. People ask me, people are like, Ted, isn't it really difficult for you to stay vegan? And my answer to that is, being in New York City, no. New York City is like one of the top 5 vegan places in the world. So there are so many different options. And also, I'm not a foodie. I don't know if you guys are foodies, AKA somebody who really enjoys food and somebody who's like, oh, I'm really in the mood for this. I'm really in the mood for that. Like, I, for the most part, can have avocado and chickpeas in a bowl with hot sauce for dinner a few nights a week, and I'm good. I have a couple burritos here and there, but like, I'm never looking out for the next meal. Like, if something that'll be delicious, or having this particular thing on this night will make me happy. I'm like, whatever. I'm a simple guy when it comes to food. If it's vegan, I'll eat it. There are a lot of foods that I already count out that I don't eat in general. But like, recently I've been having pizza a few nights a week because there's a good vegan pizza place near where I do comedy. So I'll just go there, get a slice. And then the guys who work there are like, oh, the rich guy is here. Look, the rich guy is here, because I'm ordering the vegan slice, and the vegan slice is usually around $5, which is the same deal as you get 2 slices and a can of Coke for $5. So I just go in there, have that one slice, and I'm a big nuts guy. Pause. I love cashews. So I find myself the most, like the things that I eat the most, people ask me this frequently, is cashews, beans, rice, avocado, chickpeas. It's pretty much it. It's like the main source of my diet these days. But again, yeah, I don't really like food that much. People say the phrase, I eat to live. I don't live to eat, But when I was eating meat, I was living to eat. I was eating so much crap. I would just eat anything. And that's when you're vegan and you start looking at the ingredients on things, that's when you really shut out so many different types of foods. It sounds like it would be a nightmare, but it becomes easier because you know what type of foods or what processed foods have egg in it. If it has gelatin, if it has butter or any sort of milk, you can't have it. And the one thing I do miss is like during birthdays, anytime that there's really cake in the mix, like I won't eat it because I know that there will be an egg in there. So you got to stick away from the egg. Which maybe I would miss cake, and you can replace the egg with applesauce, but it kind of makes the cake mushy. So we haven't really figured out, us vegans, the cake deal, And I drink a ton of coffee. I will say that. A ton of coffee. I'm having like probably 3 coffees a day at least, but I have switched a little bit to the iced Americano now that it's iced out. Iced Americano, it's a nice little beverage. If you have too many of those, though, I'll start getting jittery. I much prefer the iced coffee. And cold brew, forget about it. I hate cold brew. Do you guys like cold brew? What is the taste even? It's just a strong, bitter version of iced coffee. And they're like, by the way, we're going to up the price on it because it tastes like jit. We got to figure this out as vegans because the vegan products are more expensive. Is it because there are more ingredients in it and it's harder to get? Maybe, yeah. Because getting cheese, you just go and freaking milk a cow, and there's billions of cows, and then that's how you get cheese. But in order to get vegan type of cheese or vegan ingredients, you got to go to different sources and get whatever it is. You know what I mean? Interesting rant today. So many different topics, man. So many different topics. But it is getting nicer in New York City, and I imagine it's getting nicer where you guys live. What's your favorite season? Spring, summer, fall, or winter? If winter's your favorite season, that's weird. Unless you live in Florida. By the way, you guys are looking at the first annual Ted Jones World Vegan Hot Dog Eating Contest t-shirt. We have the 5th annual Ted Jones World Vegan Hot Dog Eating Contest coming up. We are soon booking a venue. We haven't figured out quite yet, but we're going to have around 8 competitors, 10 minutes, all you can eat vegan hot dogs. And this will be the 5th year we're doing the event. We're super excited. It's going to be on July 3rd or July 4th. I will keep you guys posted. Obviously, the event will most likely be free, but we're still figuring out the kinks. All right, guys. So we got a lot going on the vegan front and tennis front too, because it's so difficult to play tennis in New York. Being in Manhattan, you go down to the West Side Highway, you want to play on some of those courts, it's going to take you an hour and a half to wait, and I'm not doing that, pal. Luckily, my buddy owns the pro shop at the Billie Jean King National Tennis Center. Jules, if you're listening, what up, man? Sometimes he listens to the pod. But that's also a good hookup. Going out to the National Tennis Center, for those of you who have never been to the U.S. Open, I cannot recommend a cheaper day event that's as fun as the U.S. Open. You guys have got to go. Granted, it's going to be at it's at the end of August, so it's like 4.5 months from now. But that's something to keep in mind. If you've never been to the U.S. Open, you really got to go. You don't even have to buy tickets to the main stadium. You don't have to spend $150. You can buy a day pass for $50. You get there at 11 a.m., stay until like 5 or 6 p.m. You see amazing matches. You see incredible tennis players. And these tennis players, guys, I don't think you realize, when people don't really compare tennis to other sports when they should, because tennis, you can't start tennis and become a pro you can't start when you're 13 years old like some of these basketball players have, or some of these football players, like, oh yeah, they're big and they can dunk the ball, they're athletic, so they can become pro. Like, no, there's never been a person in history who has started tennis at age 13, or I shouldn't say that. I'm sure that there have been some people in history, but nowadays you cannot start the sport of tennis at age 12 or 13 and become pro. It's just almost impossible, because there are so many people and kids and boys and girls that start tennis at age 4 and they're on the court every single day with their tennis instructing father or mother for hours a day, that are just so locked in on becoming a tennis pro and getting them out of that particular country or situation that they're in, that like it just is impossible, almost physically impossible. So tennis is a different type of beast. And then golf too. Golf, it's every single shot. That's the crazy thing about golf. You can be up 6 strokes in one of these Masters events, and then you just have a terrible hole where you hit it in the water, and then you are in the sand and you miss the ball as you swing, and then you hit another bad shot, and then you miss a putt, and then boom, all of a sudden you lose your lead. Golf is a sport that I respect fully. Like, I remember kids at the UConn golf team, like, nobody, when you're in college and somebody says they're on the golf team, you're like, all right, dude, like, what? Especially when you see some of their workouts, you're like, yo, these guys look soft. But like, you have to be so locked in mentally. It's not really that much of a physically grueling sport as it is mentally. Golf has got to be, I'll say it, that golf is probably the most mentally demanding sport. Tennis a close second. Like, you look at guys like Novak Djokovic, and the separation between Novak Djokovic and the people who are close up to him high in the rankings is so little that he just wins those points when he's got to win those points. And that's the same thing in golf. Like, you have to hit this shot well on the green. You got to focus and lock in on this particular shot. Like, I myself, anytime that I would play golf, I don't think I have ever played 18 holes of golf and been like, yeah, wow, I'm fully satisfied for the day. Like, no, you're mentally exhausted by the time you play 18 holes of golf. You're out there for 4.5 hours. Guys like Michael Jordan, the best basketball player ever, will go out and play 36 holes of golf a day. Can you imagine? The guy's just on the golf course 8 hours a day. Guy loves the sport. I mean, he's a mentally demanding guy, so maybe I could see that. But anytime I'm on hole like 12 or 13, I'm like, all right, can we hit the clubhouse, get a seltzer and a banana? My favorite beverage, by the way, seltzer. Side note, I think we got to get into that, about how much seltzer I drink. During the day, it's seltzer and coffee until I break that fast, whatever time that's at, maybe like 2 or 3 p.m. But once I start eating, I, for the most part, don't stop. Like, I don't have a strict eating window, especially now that I've been trying this new workout method. I've been going from like, I don't know, 2 p.m. to 9 or 10 p.m. I'll eat. And then sometimes I'll have that late night pizza slice, but I'll usually walk it off when I come home from the comedy clubs. But it's coffee and seltzer all day. And I don't know if seltzer really hydrates you that much? That's an interesting question. Interesting point. Because there's so many bubbles in that seltzer. You're like, is this really bringing the H2O to me and not? What's the deal here? And I've been drinking so much Liquid Death because at the comedy shop where I perform a lot, they have an insane amount of Liquid Death, and I get my bangs worth for all that Liquid Death. I tell you that. I would like to talk to the owner of Liquid Death, and I'd be like, bro, how did you get this company to $1 billion? Well, I get it. It's like a cool can and it looks like beer, and maybe you could drink it at a bar and people will be like, oh, you're drinking a beer? Nice, brother. A lot of this water these days, a lot of water that you just get from a can, or from a bottle, it's from the tap anyway. And being in New York City, you could just stick your head under the tap and start drinking. That's a beautiful thing about New York. That like if I go and visit my dad down in Florida, or I'm doing something in Florida in general, you cannot do that. Or other countries as well. If you put your head under the tap, you might get sick. Okay, so we had at camp when I was like, I don't know, 10 years old, they had all these cheers for different countries and stuff. And we were Mexico. We were Team Mexico. And one of the cheers we had, this is not politically correct now, but granted, this is also 20 years ago. We were like, Mexico will slaughter. Don't drink the water. How insane is that? Can't be good, man. Can't be good. Let me know what you guys did this weekend. I would love to know, of course. TEDJONESWORLD@gmail.com. Guys, we put out episodes of the podcast every Monday and Thursday, and every time we get stand-up videos, vlogs, sketches, we put it on the Ted Jones World 2, that's TOO channel, and we have a great time doing it. Guys, thanks so much for listening to me talk to you through the airwaves. If you're watching on YouTube, give us a like. If you're listening on Spotify, Amazon, Apple Music, give us a subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.